Shalom Israel, giving honor and praise to the Most High God for the reading and the understanding of His word. And family, once again, I want to thank you and I want to welcome you to this Friday night Sabbath. Thank you so much. And of course, family, you already know, I get the honor and the pleasure of saying this. And let me tell you something. After tonight, you're going to see why this is so important, why I say this to you every week. I want to wish every king, every queen, every prince, and every princess, I want to wish you a wonderful, magnificent Sabbath. And once again, thank you so much for bringing us in with your brother. And of course, tonight is very, very special because as we know, tomorrow is the Passover. Now, we are not going to be having a Passover themed lesson here tonight because we did that last year, right? There's no reason to do it again. For those of you who are not familiar with the Passover and how to celebrate it, you had time because you can't buy anything now, all right? But you can still go and observe that lesson and see how to celebrate it because you never know. You just may have some things right now available in your refrigerator that will help you celebrate this Passover, okay? But tonight, though, family, tonight, the one that we have, what we are going to do tonight is bring out the truth behind Israel, the truth of who we really are. So there's going to be a lot of ground to cover tonight. So I just want to let you know right now, this is going to be a very, very precept heavy lesson. All right. So get all of the things that you use to take notes because we are going to be going in. When I mean going in, we going in tonight. All right. So of course, I want you to open your Bibles to the 1611 King James Version Bible with the Apocrypha. We are going to be starting in 1 Timothy tonight. All right. 1 Timothy chapter 2. Now we're going to be reading chapters here tonight. All right. So I'm going to say this right now. For those people who don't have any patience, even if this one becomes a little lengthy, for those of you that don't have any patience, just go away now. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. Don't start watching half of this and then turn it off in the middle of it. Okay, that's just stupid. Don't waste your time doing that. Forget about my time. Don't waste your time. But for those of you who are serious about this word, who are serious about changing and reforming your lives to what it is supposed to be, stick around because I guarantee you are not going to be disappointed with the scriptures that we bring out here tonight. All right. So first, again, let's go. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 1. And I'm going to start this off. I'm going in. I'm going in. All right. So this is the New Testament. 1 Timothy. I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men. So now we got to stop because you'll have the casual person that will read that and say, hey, you know what? This is for all men. This is for all people. Every man and woman on the planet, all. You see right there, it says all. But what we're going to do is get the definition and we're going to get the proper understanding of who this all is. Now, many of you already know that this is talking about Israel, but of course I have to prove it because we have new family members here, people that are here for the first time here tonight. And as a matter of fact, if you are here for the first time tonight, please put your name and shout yourself out in the live chat so that we can properly embrace you and welcome you to the family. Please do that. Please do that. Okay, so now the emphasis, first of all, for all men. I'm going to show you right now that this is talking specifically and only to Israel. So please go to Romans chapter 11. This is Romans chapter 11. I want you to go down to verse 26. And I also want you to plant this one here in your mind. Plant it in your brain. Watch this. Here's the definition right out the gate. And so all Israel shall be saved. So that all right there is talking about Israel. All Israel shall be saved as it is written, as it is written, as it is told, as it is foretold. Only Israel will be saved. There shall come out of Sion, meaning Zion, the deliverer, who's Christ, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. So Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is the lineage that is being saved. That is exactly what the Bible says as it is written. Nobody else, no other nations, just Israel. All right, so that's just one. So now we're going to go to the Old Testament. I want you to go to Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17. Now, we brought this out last week. Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17. Because remember, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. All right, here we go. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Remember that word salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. And that world is talking about the very same world that Christ was talking about in John 3:16, this world of Israel. Okay, so now remember salvation. So now I want you to go back to John chapter 4 and verse 22. John chapter 4 and verse 22. Now again, I want you to remember salvation. Here it is. Ye worship, ye know not what. You're going to see what that is here tonight. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is for the Jews. Pretty simple. This word is very, very simple once you understand the precepts, okay? This is why the Most High said we have to understand the precepts. So now, let's go back to 1 Timothy. We're going back to 1 Timothy chapter 2. And then we're going to read that one more time now that you have the proper understanding. We was only one verse in. I exhort, therefore, that, first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men. That means all of Israel. I want you to really start paying attention now. I want you to hear the next two words that come out of my mouth. For kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. For kings. Now, this is talking about Israel. So, brothers, who is this referencing? It's referencing the men of Israel, because princes grow to be kings. And it's talking about you kings right now. And what does it say? That all authority is under the kings. But we just getting started. Oh, family, we just getting started here tonight. Verse 3. For this is good and acceptable in the sight of God, our Savior. Not the Savior of all the nations. Our Savior. Exclusive as far as Israel. Verse 4. Who will have all men to be saved? Now we got the definition and we got the understanding of who was going to be saved earlier. Who will have all men to be saved and to come unto the knowledge of the truth. The knowledge of the truth. So as we read earlier, that there's only going to be a particular people called Israel that will be saved. And that these people have to come into the knowledge of the truth. These Israelites, these people that don't know who they are, they have to come into the knowledge of the truth. So if they have to come into the knowledge of the truth, it means that there is one big fat lie. And that lie is all of the other nations and the customs and the religions that our people follow that was created by them, including Christianity, especially Christianity. And I'm going to take Christianity and Islam and put those at the very top, because those are the two right there that the Most High warned us about specifically over and over and over. And they were actually a curse that was put on us. Our people are involved in the two most false religions on this planet. First of all, being an Israelite is not a religion, first of all, but Islam and Christianity are the two. Okay, let's continue. As a matter of fact, let me see something here. Hold on one sec. Let's see something here. We're good. Let's continue. Verse 5. For there is one God one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. So it's letting us know Christ is the only person that can intercess or intervene with us. Remember, think of him as our lawyer. He's our defense attorney, all right, on the day of judgment. Remember that. Verse 6. Who gave himself as ransom for all to be tested in due time. Who gave himself to be a ransom for all of Israel, not the whole world. That's why I wanted to make sure that I brought those precepts out early so you know exactly who it's talking about. Verse 7. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher. You are ordained a preacher, kings, princes. You are ordained a preacher. You are the priest of your household, your family, your quarters. You were born and designed to be a priest, preacher, reverend, whatever you want to call it. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher and an apostle. I speak the truth in Christ and lie not. A teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. Now that right there, I want to go ahead and get. Because now you heard Gentiles. Now remember earlier, when we went ahead and heard all men, and we have to break that down, right? So now we have to actually prove using the scriptures that Gentiles does not mean the other nations. And that Gentiles mean the Israelites, the ones who left the customs, but you're going to find all of that out right now, that this is talking about Israel and not the rest of the nations. So now I want you to go back to the book of Romans. We're going to go back to the book of Romans, chapter 11, and you're going to see exactly why this followed up. I did it this way on purpose. So that's Romans chapter 11. Go down to verse 25, please. Romans chapter 11, verse 25. Just one up from 26 that we read earlier. It gives the definition of the Gentiles. Watch this. For I would not, brethren, meaning lineage, meaning family members. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery. You'll find out why it's a mystery here in a second. Lest ye should be wise in your own conceits. In other words, if you want to be dumb in your own beliefs, that blindness in part is happened to Israel. That Israel became blind. You'll find out all of this here. Why? Until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. So as you see, it just referenced the Israelites and calling the Israelites Gentiles. And you'll see why here in a second. Now, I want you to please go to 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6. You're going to find out why right now. 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. As a matter of fact, nope, go to verse 1. Start at verse 1. I'm going to read this to verse 1. Let me get a drink real quick because I'm going to read. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 1. I'm going to read it all. Watch this. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from their laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God. So if you're not familiar with this here, during the time here when the Israelites were within their quarters, Esau, and these are the people of Athens at this time, they were coming in and they were sending men into all the parts where the Israelites dwelled, attacking the Jews and letting them know that they are not able to keep the laws of the Most High anymore. Let's continue. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius. So as you see here, giving it the name of other gods, false gods at that, because there's only one, as we read earlier. And that in Garizim, of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, letting you know that this God is the God of the other nations, of the strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. Verse 3, the coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. So these other nations coming in with these false gods, these false deities, and bringing in their customs to teach our people and to compel us, meaning by force, to get us away from keeping the laws of the Most High God, our God, the God of Israel. Verse 4, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles. Now, this is speaking in regards to the other nations now, because they are the real Gentiles, the real ones. Watch this. Who dallied with harlots, meaning dealing with whores, and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. They were having sex with the women in these holy places. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful, meaning bringing in their false, disgusting customs. Verse 5, the altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. So now here you have all these other nations that bombarded the Israelites, bringing in their customs, a lot of those customs that we still follow today. Birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of these false holidays, all of these things, marrying outside our nation. Verse 6, here it is. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So, recap. All the other nations came in. Why? Because our people were breaking the commandments. So the Most High lifted up the base people, as we learned here in previous lessons, sent them into the places where the Israelites dwelled and made them take over. Made these other nations take over and brought the Israelites down to shame and put them in captivity and were rulers over them. Why? Because our ancestors were breaking the commandments, and it was not lawful to call yourself a Jew. So as we saw here, what were these other people called? Gentiles. So now the Jews were taking on the customs of Gentiles, and this is why now they are called Gentiles. Very, very easy. That is why you have to know the history. You have to get in the book and read it for the proper understanding. So now that we have the understanding, let's go back to 1 Timothy. Go back to 1 Timothy chapter 2, and I believe we was at verse 7. Yes, we were. So now that you have the understanding, I'm going to read it again. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher, fellas, and an apostle. I speak the truth in Christ. Christ is the black man. And lie not. I'm telling you the truth. A teacher of the Gentiles, the Israelites, who don't know who they are, in faith and verity. And verity means truth. In faith and truth. Truth. Truth, as we already know, we are in this truth now. What we are doing is continuing the work that the disciples and the apostles were doing. And also our prophets. Let's continue. Verse 8. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. Now that's very deep right there. I'm going to read that one more time. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. So when you pray, first of all, you have to face the east, because right over here in the Western Hemisphere, we have to face Jerusalem. So wherever you are in the world, you have to face Jerusalem. Okay? So why do we put our hands up like this? Because that's the proper way to pray to the Most High. Now, as Christianity and Catholicism and everybody would sit there and preach to you, and especially with Catholicism, you always have to clasp your hands together. Okay. Now, for many of you that don't know what this is here, this is an ancient pagan custom where you used to build a pyramid with your hands to worship Babylonian and Egyptian deities. Now, also Catholicism borrowed from that, or just continued the practice where they have the prayer beads, and they used to put their prayer beads around their hands to keep their hands clasped together. That's what that's about. So whenever you pray, don't you ever put your hands together like this. We worship the Most High with our hands in the air. Submission. That's what that's about. Let's continue. verse 9. In like manner, okay, wait. I want to go back to 8 real quick because there's something I left out. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath, meaning that you are doing this when you come to the Most High. You are not coming to him with wrath because of the things that we put ourselves through and doubting. You cannot doubt the word. When you come to the Most High, you come to him correct, and you come to him with 100% complete faith and submission. Now, queens and princesses, I want you to pay very close attention. Watch this. In like manner also. Now, many of you sisters have heard this, but now you're going to get the proper understanding. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. What is this talking about, queens? What is this talking about, princesses? As you see right here, one verse up, this is how you are to come and hold yourself, first of all, among our brothers within Israel, and especially to the Most High. When you come to the Most High, you come correct. How are you to come correct? First of all, with shamefacedness, meaning humble. Humble. Not your attitudes, not your neck rolling and your eye rolling and all that either. You come correct when you stand with the brothers in modest apparel. Modest apparel, meaning covered up, so that you are not enticing one of our brothers that's dealing with some problems, sexual problems. You have to, first of all, because your body belongs to your king. Your body belongs to your king, and nobody else need to be seeing your goodies. Your body belongs to your king. And if you don't have a king, it belongs to no one. Keep it covered. And here the Most High goes in further. Let's continue it again. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety. You know what sobriety means? It means that you're not drunk off of the world's nonsense. Not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. Now, many sisters will read that and they always ask, so does that mean I can't braid my hair? No, that does not mean that. What that's referencing, you cannot present yourself as a prostitute, because this is how prostitutes used to dress back then. They still do today, where they used to go ahead. They used to have these lavish, crazy hairstyles to gain attention. All the gold. I mean, they were just, they were Mr. T in it. All right. And they were, they had nothing's new. As Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. They would have the bras that would, push the mams together and make them pop out and all that. What many of you here do today, the very same thing to look enticing. And the Most High said, don't do that. He's not saying don't wear a bra, but you already know the push-up bras and all that stuff. You don't need to be doing all that and having your goodies pop out your dress. That's what it's saying. All right, let's continue. Verse 10. But which becometh women professing godliness with good works. That's very plain and simple, queens. Now, as you see earlier in the chapter, it referenced the kings. So the Most High is talking to both the kings, princes, queens, princesses, and telling us how we both have to be. Verse 10 again. But which becometh women professing godliness with good works. Meaning that you got to be keeping the commandments. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. Queens, princesses, you must learn in silence under the brothers. Verse 12. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. Now, this is talking in a church setting or a church gathering, okay? That means when all of the brothers and sisters get together, if there's a mass gathering, the sisters are to remain quiet and learn with shamefacedness, meaning being humble, and sobriety, meaning being cool. Shh. Let the brothers teach. Because as we read earlier, the brothers are the preachers. That is our job to do. Now, sisters, it does not mean that you cannot teach somebody the word. You just cannot do it in a mass gathering. All right? Why? Let's find out why. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. So it's going back to Genesis, going back to the beginning. And Adam was not deceived. Was not deceived by who? He was not deceived by the beast of the field. Okay? The serpent, which was not Satan. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So it's letting you know here, again, it was Eve's fault that this happened. But Adam was held responsible because why? He is the one in authority. The kings are the ones in authority. So Adam was supposed to shut that down and he didn't. Verse 15, excuse me. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. So do you see how the disciples, this is New Testament now, and I wanted to start off with the New Testament because so many people that want to argue with this word, want to argue with this truth, say, all you Israelites do is read from the Old Testament. No, we don't. No, we don't. And that's why I wanted to start with this one here, because remember, you're going to find out a common theme about all of this here. Israel, who are you? Who are you? And I wanted to bring this one out first here so that you can actually see that Paul was bringing out who you are. First of all, kings and queens, it mentioned. It mentioned here royalty. Royalty, royalty, royalty. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Let's continue. So now I want you to please go to Lamentations verse 4. Now we're going to go back to the Old Testament. Lamentations verse 4. Oh, yeah, I told you we going in. Oh, yeah, niggas gonna be mad, but oh, well, be mad. They ain't gonna change a damn thing. Be mad, because for those who are just not feeling this Bible, you just don't want to believe what I'm saying. You don't want to believe what these scriptures say, and you have an attitude every time we come out with these scriptures and we say who we are, and the Israelites are the ones that will be back in power. We will be back ruling the dominion is going to happen. Oh, well, too bad. If you weren't mad before, oh, trust me, you are going to get pissed now. Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1. Pay attention, family. How is the gold become dim? How is the gold become dim? Now, remember what the Most High said about Israel, what he said about his babies, his children. We are the apple of his eye, that we are his treasure. Now, we all know that treasure is associated with gold. Gold and rubies and diamonds and precious stones, all that good stuff. So Israel, let me go ahead and tell you something. This is about you. Watch this. How is the gold become dim? So how are these Israelites, the gold, that apple of the eyes of the Most High, how are these people now dim? So the opposite of dim is what? To shine, to illuminate, like we learned last week, to shine. So again, as you see here, how you know that this is all about us, that's one of our terms. We pattern ourselves after our damn daddy, our Abba Father. This is how God talks. Yo, y'all niggas are down there shining. How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The most fine gold, the finest, most precious things on this planet. How is it changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. The stones were poured out. They've been poured on the floor. Verse 2. The precious sons of Zion. Now remember, when the Bible speaks of sons, when it only just mentions this particular one here, you can always tell in the context, it's speaking dichotomously, meaning that it's talking about the sons and daughters, when it's gathering as a whole all together. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold. And as you see, it defined it right there, letting you know it's talking about Israel. How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers the work of the hands of the potter. Now it's going to get so deep. Watch this. Verse 3. Even the sea monsters draw out the breast. Now, of course, this is talking about feeding the young. You'll see what this means here. Even the sea monsters draw out of the breast. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness. So now what is this talking about? This is talking about giving us that food. This is now talking about giving us the word. The word, this is our daily bread. Because the milk is given to the young for what? To feed them. So now, remember, when we learn here in 2 Maccabees 6:6, we couldn't keep any of those laws. We couldn't keep anything. So during that time there, that was the beginning of us forgetting who we are. That was the manifestation of that. And that has trickled all the way down unto now. Unto now. Let's continue. The tongue of the suckling child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for thirst. The young children ask bread, and no man breaketh it unto them. So here we have these Israelites out there, because we're only talking about the Israelites. And they're out there wanting to know. They are thirsting. They have this feeling inside of them. I'm greater than what these people are telling me I am. I'm not a slave, okay? I'm not a base person. I know I'm great. We have this feeling inside of us, but yet we don't have our history because it was taken away from us. We want to know. We have it. We feel it. We know it. It's in our mind. It's in the fiber of our DNA. We know we are the greatest. We know that we are, but there's a disconnect. And what is that disconnect? That the word was taken from us and not given to us. So the Bible is letting us know that we are thirsting for it. That's why you're watching right now. Are thirsting for this word. Let's continue. I'm going to read it again. The tongue of the suckling child cleaveth to the roof of its mouth for thirst, because it's dry, it's barren. There's no water that's feeding us the proper way that we're supposed to be fed. The young children ask bread. So us Israelites, we're asking, what is it about us that we don't know? And no man breaketh it unto them. Talking about them disgusting, evil, wicked, the pastors, the Christian pastors and Catholic pastors, all of these false religions that hide our history from us, that are paid to do so. Verse 5. They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills. Yeah, did you understand that? Scarlet is so delicate and so rich. And it's letting us know that we are so rich. Just like Christ said, thou art rich. But we don't know, because we're living in dunghills when we should be living in palaces. The ghettos, the barrios, all these places, all of them. And you have some brothers and sisters that make a little money, make a little change, and then they move out to the white neighborhoods and they think that they are doing good. No, my friend. That is a dunghill compared to what you should really be in. Let's continue. For the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom. Woo! I'm going to read that again, just because I don't think many of you got that. For the punishment of the iniquity, the sins of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom. Now, we remember what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. The Most High turned that place into complete ashes. So letting us know that the future punishment that's coming is far worse than that. that was overthrown as in a moment with no hands stayed on her. Ooh, 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 man, oh, we got it coming. Just think about the punishment these pastors have. And not just them, we're going to get some more into this. Verse 7. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. Oh, we're going to break this one here down. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. Okay, so now that I'm gonna read it one more time. I have to. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. Now, is that one right there where so many people, even Esau, I even had an Edomite try to bring this out to me one time to try to prove that white people are actually the Israelites. And we're going to get into this. I'm going to break this down for you. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. Now remember, what did the Most High say that we were? We were his treasure. We were precious to him. We were his stones, his precious stones. That's what that's breaking down. But of course, we must get the precept for this. So I please want you to go to Psalms chapter 51 and verse 7. Psalms chapter 51 and verse 7. Remember, I told y'all we are going to be very precept heavy here tonight because we got to make sure we get everything. Psalms chapter 51. As a matter of fact, start at verse 1. I want to read it from the beginning to make sure you get the proper understanding of all of this. All right. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. So it's letting you know this is King David. When Nathan the prophet came unto him after he had gone in to Bathsheba. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgression. So now you're going to see that whiter than snow and as pure as milk is all about wisdom and keeping the commandments. That's what that means. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. Iniquity, sin, iniquity. For I acknowledge my transgression, I acknowledge my sins, and my sin is ever before me. As you can see, sin and transgression is the word here. Verse 4, against thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity. I was shaped in my sin. And in sin did my mother conceive me. Letting you know that these are generational curses here. Behold, thou desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. And there's the precept. That's talking about sin. That doesn't have anything to do with their damn skin complexion. It has to do with their illumination, their brightness, because of wisdom. That's what that means. Now let's go back to Lamentations 4. Lamentations 4. And we were at verse 7. So now that you understand that, we're going to read it again. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. Why? Because at this time they were keeping the commandments and they had wisdom. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Now, ruddy is my color. Their polishing was of sapphire. Again, mention those jewels. So now that was at one point when they were in the commandments and living right. They were in righteousness. Now watch the opposite side of it. Their visage is blacker than a coal. Their visage, and their visage means that their look, their countenance, their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Now, why are they not known in the streets? Because they were taken away from their culture, from their history. Nobody knows who they are anymore. Because they broke the commandments, and the Most High took them out of power and put them at the base, and took the base people and put them above. And I'll prove it later, I promise. I'm going to read it again. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick, just like we read earlier. Just like we read earlier. Another precept. Because now they're dry. And what happens when you get dry? What happens when you are not given water? You dehydrate. You dry. Niggas are dry. We was walking around dry as hell. We were out there in them streets and niggas not even know who we are. We're royalty. We are royalty, family. The most peculiar people on the planet, Deuteronomy 7:6, Deuteronomy 14:2. But what? We lost our heritage. Let's continue. Verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. So it is better for you to be killed with the sword than for you to die not knowing the truth. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. Verse 10. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. I'm going to read it again. This is why it spoke what it spoke of in 1 Timothy. I'm going to read it again. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So many of our queens are guilty of destroying our own people. First of all, because many of you have ran away your kings. Oh, I know y'all gonna get salty about that. Well, be salty. There's some more. There's some more salt for you. You get mad all you want to. It's the truth. So many of our queens have ran off the husbands out of the house because of your mouth. Because that white man went ahead and told you that you were in authority when the scriptures say that you are not to usurp authority over a man. So what did you do? You continued running your mouth. You continued pissing him off and the man left you. And so now let's see what happens. I'm going to read it again. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. Because now that the man is gone, he is the preacher, the pastor of the home is not raising the children or you how you should be. So now your authority is gone. Your authority is gone. And now there's chaos. I'm going to read it again. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat. You were the meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So it's not just one, it's many. And we are in our destruction. If you don't believe me, now we're going to get a precept. I want you to go to 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse 8. If you thought this was cold, watch this. 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse 8. Listen to what the Most High says. Queens, princesses, I'm reading the scriptures. Don't get no attitude with me. There shall be a confusion, chaos, also in many places, and the fire shall be sent out again, and the wild beast shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. All praises to the Most High God for that one. All praises. Because so many of you sisters love getting on your kings. Oh, niggas ain't this, niggas ain't that. When in fact, you don't be checking yourself. If you humbled yourself with shamefacedness and sobriety and allow a king to be a king without you trying to step out of your lane, step out of your place to where men ain't having that. Because even the scriptures tell you that the man don't need to deal with that. And that it's better for him to live on a rooftop than to live in a house with an evil woman. So a lot of you sisters, oh, I know you're getting mad at that. Oh, but get mad though. Get mad. That's good. That's great that you get mad by that. Get mad and change yourself. Let's go back. You can get mad at me all you want to. You can stop. You can get mad. You can call me every name in the book. It ain't going to change a damn thing. The Most High called you pitiful. The Most High called you a menstruous woman. Don't get mad at me. He said it. Verse 11. Back to Lamentations 4, verse 11. The Lord hath accomplished his fury, meaning taking us and putting us in these conditions. He hath poured out his fierce anger and hath kindled a fire in Zion, meaning amongst the Israelites, and it hath devoured the foundations thereof. We've been broken all the way down to our foundation. Listen again, verse 12. Kings, princes, listen up. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. So what is that saying right there? It's saying if this did not really happen, if our kings did not see this for their own self, they never would have believed it. They never would have believed that Esau and these other nations were going to be put on top, specifically Esau being put on top. They never, ever, ever would have believed this. But why? They saw it happening. They saw it happening. And they were completely verklempt. They was like, okay, this can't be real. You know what? That's where the saying comes from. If I didn't see it for my own self, if I did not see it with my own eyes, I never would have believed it. Something else we get from our daddy. Verse 13. For the sins of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests that have shed the blood of the just in the midst of her. They have wandered as blind men in the streets. They have polluted themselves with blood so that men could not touch their garments. They have cried unto them, depart ye, it is unclean. Depart, get out of her, depart, touch not. When they fled away and wandered, they said among the heathen, they shall no more sojourn there. That's called defeat. That's called defeat. Now, as you saw how the Most High kept referring to this royalty, kings, kings, kings. Now, guess what? In order to be a king, you got to have a queen. And if you are a king and a queen, you make princes and princesses. Royalty, royalty, royalty. But I don't want to jump ahead of myself. Not yet. Verse 16, the anger of the Lord hath divided them. The anger of the Lord hath divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priests. They favored not the elders. All of that went out the window. The knowledge of who you are. You see in your elders and disrespect them. The very same reason how today you hear these stories of our own people going up and punching the elderly in the face and knocking them out. Verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. Ooh. For all of you that like to go out and vote, for all of you that have your faith in Esau, for all of you that have your faith in their economics, for all of you that have your faith in their lies, no nation is going to save you. You better listen to me. You better be listening to me. No nation is going to save you. The only person that's going to save us is the Most High. When he sends Christ and the chariots back to get us, for the 1/3, those of us that want to keep these commandments. It's all biblical. I'm reading the Bible. All right? Verse 18. Pay very close attention, family. They hunt our steps. They hunt our steps. This is all Esau does to us. The every reason why black men and black women, Hispanics and Native Americans got to keep looking over their shoulders. Because we know what's coming once we see them lights behind us. We know what they do to us on our jobs. They sit there and they wait for us to do something wrong so they can go back and tell. This is all biblical. Verse 18, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. We can't even walk the damn streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. Now, we all know, as we have studied so many times, the eagle is the representation of Esau. Our persecutors, meaning our captors, are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. They chase us everywhere. Everywhere. Now, a lot of you, if you have not written that down, you better be writing down these right here. The breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Meaning now we are under the heathen, when we are the kings, queens, princesses, and princes of the damn earth. And now we live under their shadow. That means defeat. Verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. Oh! So the Most High references exactly who this is. Who is this that pursue us in the street? Who is this that tell on us and tattle, and shoot us down and kill us and rape us and all that? We're under their rulership. Who is it? Edom, showing you right now this is not talking about the damn Arab. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shall make thyself naked. What cup? The cup of wrath that the Most High is pouring out on all the nations. And he's specifically speaking to Edom, letting them know, ooh, you are going to catch it. You're going to catch it hard. Verse 21, the punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. Pay attention, family. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. That's it. It's over. It's done. It's finished. We are no longer going into captivity. It's over. It's done. It's a done deal. He will visit thine iniquity. In other words, he is going to go back to these Edomites and be like, remember what you did to my people? Do you remember what you did to the apple of my eye? You put your dirty, filthy hands on my treasure. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. He will discover what you did. He sees everything. This is the Father. This is the God of Israel. He saw every last thing, every persecution, every crime that was committed against us. He saw. Oh, we're not done yet. Now go to Lamentations 5. We're going to close it out with Lamentations 5. Watch this. Remember, O Lord, what is come upon us. So right here in Lamentations is asking us to please remind the Most High of what has happened to us. Remember, O Lord, what is come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Consider all the things that we have been through. Our inheritance is turned to strangers. Our house to aliens. So everything that we owned on this planet, all the jewels, the diamonds, the rubies, the gold, the palaces were all destroyed and given into the hands of the other nations, specifically Edom. Watch this. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We are fatherless. We are without the Most High. We are fatherless. Verse 4, we have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us. I'm going to read that one more time. We have drunken our water for money. What's this? What is this? Do you understand how real these scriptures are? You get it? Do you see how these prophets, they saw the future? We got to pay for our water now. And the wood, we can't even, do you know it is illegal to go into the woods and chop down a damn tree to gather wood? Why? Because you got to buy it from Esau now. You got to buy it from the white man. And remember, the world was made for our sakes. The world was made for Israel. It is our God-given inheritance to be able to go into the damn woods and chop down a tree if we want to. And we can't do it. We can't do it. We'll go to jail. We'll go to jail for chopping down something that comes up out of the ground, as the world calls Mother Nature, but we know it was created by the Most High. It just goes to show you. Verse 5, pay attention. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. Let me ask you a question. What is the most famous case going on in the United States right now? I'm going to read it one more time. Our necks are under persecution. George Floyd. How did he die? With a disgusting Edomite cop putting his knee on his neck. You mean to tell me that these prophets didn't see what was going to happen to us in the future? Now remember, at this particular time right here, they are already talking about what's going on in the future. Why? They weren't living like that. They weren't under persecution. They weren't under these things because they were in what you call rulership. Verse 6. We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Now we all know the bread is the word. We're not being fed because we don't know who we are. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Now, borne, B-O-R-N-E, means to carry, like airborne. So we're carrying the sins of our forefathers and foremothers. Verse 8. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand. Just like we learned last week, servants rule over us. The Most High took Esau and these other nations who are our servants rightfully and put them over us because of our disobedience. I tell y'all all the time, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Here's another precept. All of the scriptures say the same thing over and over and over and over. It doesn't matter if it's the New Testament or the Old Testament. They all say the same thing over and over. Let's continue. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand. We get our bread with the peril of our lives. Do you know what peril means? Peril means imminent, immediate disaster. We get our bread with the peril of our lives. So in other words, us bringing out this truth is so damn dangerous to the other nations. They can't stand it, and it will get us killed. Because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin was black like an oven because of this terrible famine. They ravish the women in Zion and the maids in the city of Judah. So this is nothing more here than the retelling of Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68. Listen again. Princes are hanged up by their hand, and the faces of elders were not honored. So as you clearly saw right there in that illustration, they were taking our sons in slave auctions and holding them up, showing you again that our people, this is us. This is us. We're the Israelites. This happened to us and only us. They ravished the women in Zion. I'm going back. And the maids in the city of Judah. They were raping our women, and they still do it today. They took the young men, Princes are hanged, and again, it mentions royalty, again. Princes are hanged up by their hand. The faces of elders were not honored. So when you look at one of our kings, even right now, when we see the elderly, we look at them as just as some old niggas when they are kings. Our elderly women are queens. And the older look at the young, and they look at them with such dissatisfaction, not knowing that they are truly princes and princesses. Why? Because of the common culture now. Again, I reference Lil Nas X. I reference all this hood mentality. I reference all of it. I reference every last one of these ratchet ass queens and princesses that want to dress scantily clad, that want to run their mouth, that want to fight other sisters and brothers. I reference our ratchet ass men and princes who wear their pants hanging down, showing their butt cracks, and disrespect our women, disrespect our queens and princesses. There's no regard. We don't see each other as kings and queens and princesses and princes and princesses. We don't see it. We see each other as nothing more than some other low down dog lame ass niggas. That's all we see. Verse 13, they took the young men to grind, and the children fell under the wood. The elders have ceased from the gate, the young men from their music. So as you already know with music, what does music institute? Music institutes a great time. Watch this. The joy of our heart is ceased. They robbed us of our joy, but it's our own fault because we kept breaking commandments. The joy of our heart is ceased. Our dance is turned into mourning. That right there ought to explain it. We some dancing fools. We are some dancing fools. And y'all think that all of this just came about in the starting from when we got out of slavery? No. We've always had that swag. We always had that musical inclination about ourselves. We always danced. That's why anytime, it don't matter what we're doing, we could be in the middle of a corporate boardroom meeting and we hear a song, whatever, we start popping. That's built in us and always has. We know Esau don't do that. We know them other nations don't do that. They don't do that with their stupid music. We have so much soul, so much vibe. I can't. I'm just not going to. Let's continue. Listen, family. Listen close. Verse 16, the crown is fallen from our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned. Our crown is now gone. We no longer have our crowns anymore. The royalty of the planet, the royalty of the earth. And now we are the most downtrodden people on the planet when the Most High said we're the best. We're the absolute best. Our crowns are no more. Why? Because we continue in our damn sin. We continue to live the way that Esau has taught us. When the Most High and all the prophets right now are reminding us and trying and desperately trying to get our attention about who we are. For this, our heart is faint. For these things, our eyes are dim. It takes you right back to the dimness that we read at the beginning. We are to shine. We are to shine. We are to shine. We are to illuminate. We are to glow. But that gold is now dim. Because of the mountain of Zion, which is desolate, the foxes walk upon it. Thou, our Lord, remainest forever. thy throne from generation to generation, meaning all the way till now. Therefore, dost thou forget us forever and forsake us so long time? Turn thou us unto thee, O Lord, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. Please, if you don't understand what he's saying, please, Father, turn us back into what we once were. Please take our crowns off the ground and please put it back on our heads. But thou hast utterly rejected us. Thou art very wroth against us. Oh, goodness gracious. If that is not a wake-up call for every last one of our people, so that you now see, according to the scriptures, who you are, and why so many of us brothers are so passionate about bringing these words out, reminding our people, as we are supposed to, reminding our people of who we are. Let me tell you something. You are not the base people. You are the greatest people on the planet. It doesn't get any more plain than that, family. It gets no more plain than that. We're the best. We are the best. We are the most peculiar. We are the greatest. And these other nations know it. They know it and they hate you because of it. Why do you think all of these attacks are against us? Why do you think Esau has no problem with shooting us down in the streets and doing all these horrible things? And now all of a sudden, here's this Asian uprising and all this. No. Nope. I'm not trying to hear it. Sorry. In these scriptures, which we brought out before, Moab and Ammon, they were right there as the Israelites were coming out of Egypt. They were right there. And what they do? They were cursing us and going to hire people to put these curses on our people. The very same that they do today. You're not going to take the focus off of the things that happened to us. And that's what's happening now. That's where all of this hate speech is now coming up against these other nations. Take the focus off these Israelites because these prophecies are coming. And now these niggas are waking up. They're waking up. The true kings, queens, princes, and princesses of the planet are waking up. Why do you think I reference you as that every week? Just so that it can be some sort of euphemistic greeting? No, I call you kings, queens, princes, and princesses because I am addressing you as what you literally are. You're welcome. I see the greatness in our people. It's time that you see the greatness in yourself. It's time that you, right after this, I want you to go look in the mirror. I want you to look at yourself. And I want you to see greatness. Because that's what you are. That is what the Bible said that you are. That is what the Most High God of Israel said that you are. Absolute greatness. So that now that you know that you're great, you look at your brother and your sister and you see greatness, even when they are in the worst conditions, even though, because we know that there's niggas all about us, the niggas and the ratchet all about us. But why are there so many niggas and why are there so many ratchet ass people? Because a lot of your mouths are remaining closed. It's one thing for you to come and we gather and watch the lesson, and you can fulfill yourself, but when you don't take that fulfillment and give it to your brothers and sisters, now you are a problem. And you are going to pay for that in the end. You can't do that. Once you come into the truth of this, it is your obligation to share it with your brothers and sisters. Obligation. Because if you don't, when you stand in front of the Most High to be judged, you are going to be judged for that. Every opportunity that you had and you lost it because you didn't open your mouth, you're gonna have to pay for it. Just to let you know, you should be excited to run out and tell our brothers and sisters about this. You should be excited. Even if you feel that you are not equipped enough to bring the word out to them, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Start writing it down. Study. And even if you still don't feel comfortable with that, then guess what you do? You show them these lessons. Let them know. Don't some people just send a person a link or whatever, and some people they're like, they're not ready for. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear that nigga talk. I don't like that. He's conceited. This nigga is glorifying himself. I never glorified myself once, but I know who I am and I know what I am. First of all, I'm a child of the Most High God. I'm an Israelite, and furthermore, I am a king, and I know it. And the scariest thing on this planet is when they understand, and I'm not speaking, I'm not trying to insult you, sisters. I'm not. But right now, queens, you're out of the picture right now because the kings are in authority. Let kings, listen to me. When they realize that you know you are a king, that is when the real fear comes. Because once they understand that you know that you are in authority, they can no longer go to our sisters to try to bring that down. Because once a king knows he's a king, he'll never return to being a damn peasant. Let that sink in for a second. You are a king. You were born a king. You were a king before you was even in the womb. And it's time for all of Israel, king, queen, prince, and princess, to return to our greatness. And it's only going to happen unless we spread the word. We have to spread the truth. And if we stay tight-lipped, button up, that truth is never going to get out. You are the conductor of the electricity that's going to cause the fire. It's all up to us. It's all up to you. Israel, I'm so glad that we was able to go ahead and bring this fire here tonight. I'm not saying because I'm not saying I brought the fire. I'm saying that this word is fire. It's fire and it burns. And I know it burned up so many of you here tonight. So many of you that just hate hearing this truth. But guess what? I hope you burn and die. For those of you that want to oppose this because you're going to anyway, let me tell you something. You better know who you are. You better get your confidence up, and you better make sure out of everything you give your praise to the Most High and you tell him thank you. You put your hands in the air, you face the east or wherever you are in the world, you get a compass and look for Jerusalem and you give the Most High his praise because he said you are the greatest. I didn't say it. He said it. You're the greatest. So you go and you look in that mirror and you say, you know what? Yes, I am the greatest. I am the greatest. My children are the greatest. My king is the greatest. My queen is the greatest. My brother, my sister, our family is the damn greatest. And can nobody take that away from us? Nobody. Not a damn soul. And you better get it in between that thick skull of yours that you are the answer to the kingdom coming back. You are the answer to that because you have to spread the word. And the reason why I say that is because once we start keeping these commandments, the Most High is like, yo, they serious down there. Son, go get them. Be the conductor that starts the fire. Okay? Don't be the match. Be the conductor. Be the person that strikes the match. Psst, psst, ba-boom! Now it's ours. And until that day comes, we have work to do. And you got to put in the work. You got to put in the effort. And you do that by opening your mouth. Teach. Teach. Teach our people. And with that being said, Israel, I love you. I'm out.